Hi guys.
Hi guys, we are Wachter Böhm, and today we're gonna do a project walkthrough of our track Mothership. It's out on Vision Serpent, and yeah, we're gonna take you behind the scenes of our production process and show you some of the sounds we made for the track. And yeah, hope you learn something. First, we're gonna play you a part of the track so you know what we're dealing with, and then we'll break it down and go into the individual tracks. So here it goes. Okay, so that was the main part of the track. I think you kind of know the vibe now. So yeah, let's break it down.
All right, let's get into it. I think it makes sense to start with the kick and bass because it's the foundation of the track. So, in the kick and bass group, we have a separate kick group, which includes two layers. First, we have this main PSYTECH, and we have this punch layer. So on the group, we have an EQ to boost the highs a little bit. Without the EQ, it sounds like this.
It's just something we did in the mixing process to make it cut through the rest of the sounds a bit more. So really minimal processing on our kick here.
And on the main kick, we also have an EQ to check our root note. In this case, we have an A.
Yeah, we use this well-known trick to figure out which key our kick has, so we can, choose a key for our track that includes the note of the kick. In this case, an A. So I think the key of the track is in something E minor or E Phrygian, not sure. Just make sure that your kick is in key, because with these low frequencies, sometimes you don't really hear a tone, but it always has like a note that it's playing, even though it's a really low note, and it has to fit the rest of your track in order to sound harmonic. Yeah, so that's our kick. And then, of course, next would be the bass. We also have a separate group within our low group. So this is our bass line. Typical psytrance 16th bass line, but we have 2 layers that are in here. First layer is like our low bass, sub bass. It's this, and you see we recorded this from synth. So yeah, to show you real quick how we usually do this, we have, for example, tried to recreate it, but we couldn't recreate the exact sound. So we have a basic bass sound like this, saw wave in this case, and then some filtering happening. And we record it, so you can see we choose the track number 9 as the source for this audio track, press record. I think you could also just bounce it to a new track. And then we have a sample like this, which we can then, process as we want it. So that's kind of how we did it here. It gives us a lot of freedom to shape the sample and make sure that it's kind of like manual sidechaining. But we also make sure that we have the exact same sound with every repetition, because that's something that you want in the low end. We can then process this one further. So we have, let me turn them off. So this was the original sample. And then we have a saturator, make it a little bit bigger and warmer, and then filter out the high frequencies. And what we did here with the utility is we flipped the phase of this track in order to make sure that it works well together with our other bass layer. So if I play them together, you can see that if this utility is turned off, you are losing some pressure in the bass, because there's phase cancellation happening. So that's something to always look out for when you work in the low end, because these 2 tracks, they play the same note. So there's an overlap in frequencies, and sometimes that can lead to phase cancellation. So what we do is we often just flip the phase on one of these 2 layers to see if it sounds better or worse. And then if it sounds better, then you're usually on the right track. Another way to check it is with a frequency analyzer like span. You can see here are our bass frequencies. These are the overtones, it's the root note. And then if I turn this off, you see that we're losing power in this specific frequency. So that's also how you know that the phase cancellation is happening. And you want to avoid that. So that's something important for the bass. The last thing we did here also is that we did a sidechain with duck. So just a basic sidechain to make sure that there's no overlap with the kick, and they really give each other the space they need. Then we have our high layer, which sounds like this. This is a MIDI track, and the clip looks like this. So we only play this 3 notes of the 16th. We skip the first one just to make sure it doesn't collide with the kick. And this one has a bit less velocity, just to give it this galloping kind of feel. And this is the sound. There's a bunch of effects happening here. So if I turn off all of these, this is what we have left. It's literally just a saw wave with this filter envelope. So the envelope 2 is modulating the filter. So it's a really short, plucky sound. No unison, because we want to have it mono, because it's still bass. really not much happening here. And then in the first step, we put on a saturator, make it a bit, give it a bit more character. We have this multiband compressor on here. Make sure it has a lot of punch, and then we EQ'd it. In this case, we also kind of added in some frequencies, but we did cut the lows so that it would not clash with the low layer. Then we put on a saturator again. This time to really make it like crunchy, or like stronger than the crunch happens with the redux. Kind of adds a bit more of this psychedelic feeling. Then we have a subtle delay. This is to add some sort of groove. It's really subtle, but in this case, it just gives it a bit more groove. And then the final step would be the drum bass, to just make it fat, and glue everything together. And then this final step is a sidechain. So we really just use the AutoPen plugin for sidechaining. If you align the phase, then that's what happens. Just makes it louder, or volume automation in this case. So yeah, that's the low layer. Already played them together, but this is them together. On the bass group, we did a bit of processing as well. Mostly some EQ to filter out frequencies that we didn't want. This also plays in with the mixing, because this is probably where some other sounds of the track are quite prominent. So we want to take these out of the bass in order to make space for other frequencies, for other sounds. And then here we have a plugin called Track Spacer. This is basically another sidechain. We make sure that the kick really cuts through these frequencies, but we don't want to sidechain it on all the frequencies up here, only down here. And we do that because that way it just sounds cleaner, because not the entire bass gets ducked when the kick hits, but only the low frequencies, or the frequencies where we wanted it. So the high layer it's not really affected by it, and it just sounds fresher and not so like it's not such an obvious sidechain. Basically, that's why we use it sometimes for sidechaining like this. Normally we would put this back here, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. This last one is just we boosted a frequency a tiny bit, because there was just mixing decisions. We wanted to have this a bit more prominent in the mix. And yeah, that's our low group. So here's the bass. You can see there's also group processing happening on the kick and bass. We have a drum bass, make it a bit fatter again. And then a compressor to glue it together. This is the low extender preset from Ableton. Just make sure that you use a slow attack so the kick can cut through, and then everything else gets glued. So yeah, just make sure that with this type of compression you don't put too much of the threshold, because you'll lose the punch. But yeah, this is just to control everything. These filters are for the automation in the track, and then this is just for our mixing. Maybe a trick I can show you with the mixing. So first we have the span, of course. shows us where our frequencies sit. And then another trick we use for mixing the kick and bass, just when it comes to the volume, is we have an EQ and we filter out all the high frequencies, so we only have this part left, and then we can hear the balance between the kick and the bass a bit better in the low end. And then if it sounds kind of the same level of energy in the bass and kick, like, then you have a good starting point, or then it's roughly a good mix. Of course, it's just a little trick that can help you, and it's never a rule that it's always working, but this is for us that usually works, because then if we turn it back off, then it usually sounds fine for us. Okay, so that's the low group, kind of the foundation of our track. And then once we had this done, we started building everything else. Play it one more time, and then we get into the next group.